I think we need to put our radio voices on, don't we? Because this is how we talk normally.
I'm not even from Yorkshire.
No.
Hello and welcome back to Driving Home.
Welcome back.
I have to say because it's an home. To actually season 2 of Driving Home. Now, shall we tell the folks why season 2 exists and we stopped at season 1?
Well, season 2 exists because of a massive demand. All three of you
yes.
demanded.
Effectively, we ran out of time. Work, COVID genuinely got in the way
and
between us. Christmas, all sorts of things conspired to the point where when you missed 3 or 4 weeks, you're like, you know what? Let's just have a break.
Yeah.
Come back when we can actually group a few together, get some in advance, and we'll call it season 2, like it was planned.
Yeah, like it was planned.
Yes.
Yeah, not by mistake.
Yes. So if anyone's still actually listening to this, then hello.
Hello, yeah. And welcome back, maybe,
yes.
Or maybe you're a new listener.
Well, who knows? So should we dive in to the topic?
Let's do this.
So this is about home energy and the skyrocketing. I think that's.
Well, should we just call energy prices in general?
Yes, actually, yeah. But we're concentrating on home energy.
Yeah, we are. Yeah.
So it's not an electric car thing. It's just electric and gas in general.
Fuel prices.
Fuel, I suppose you'd argue. Yeah. And I personally think there is an awful lot of people out there that I've talked to, and people I know, that are just sleepwalking.
Well, on a daily basis. I'm having this conversation with people going, you do realise that bills are going to go up. Oh yeah, they're going to go up by a little bit. And then you explain how much they're going up by, and they look at you blankly and go, oh, but they'll never let that happen.
Yeah.
You're going, who's going to stop them?
Nope. And I do believe there will be government help, but nowhere near to the level. It will be a little bit for some, but the people that can probably afford the price rise, but it will affect what they do in the rest of their life. That is who won't get any help.
My understanding is that there'll be 6 million people who will be helped out with additional funding for fuel, but I think the cap somewhere is around 10 grand. So if you earn more than £10,000 a year,
is that the household income? Do you think?
I don't know how it's.
Personally,
this is just what I heard on Radio 4.
Oh, so it must be right then.
Yeah. So so the majority of people aren't going to be able to. And 10 grand's not a lot of money, is it?
Well, that's half a minimum wage.
Yeah. So if you're working part time, I guess you're going to get some help maybe to.
Or you're on benefits or anything like that.
Yeah. But for the majority of people, they're going to get no help with this, and it could be. I mean, it's going to at least double, isn't it? I think we can say.
Well, we'll come to that in a second because we do have a few examples for you.
We do, yeah.
But
we've gone into this, as a novice, as it. We have opened a few websites.
As Yorkshiremen, we look at the price of things and always have.
How much?
And then go to the bar and then order an over expensive pint, but don't complain about that.
Well,
that's
no, that's
fine.
a pint, isn't it?
Well, that's like the nectar, isn't it? But yeah, and for me, there's just so many people that are completely unaware. And the thing is, it won't show itself in summer because the price cap changes in April and October twice a year. But because of summer, you don't use as much, obviously, because it's nice and sunny, you're not using your heating, blah, blah, blah. It will be winter, where all of a sudden it will go from, that's about what it was in winter this year in summer, to, oh my God, it's doubled or even trebled.
Maybe a lot of people's Christmas presents will be a top-up for their central heating.
Or a blanket.
Forgot, Daddy. Oh, we've got some heating this Christmas.
Yes. Well, as silly as it sounds, I mean, like you say, you don't really believe that this would happen in a first world country now, these days, where it will get to the point where, I mean, it's nice to know that only 6 million people, if this is true, only 6 million poor people in the country. That must be it. So it's nice to know that's a thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, let me mention... It's
going to be, isn't it? It's going to be a case, I think, for a lot of people, whether you dress your child properly, buy them new clothes, buy yourself new clothes, eat properly, or keep warm.
And it is a cliche, isn't it? That people say that on the radio. Well, some people won't be able to afford that. This is a bigger one because it has the knock-on effect of anything associated with heating or fuel, which is including transport, of course.
Yep.
Will also go up. Food, clothing, cars. Take your pick. Yeah. I mean, as an example, before I get onto my tariff, I spoken to someone who basically ships everything from China. Mm-hmm. I think it was a year ago, maybe 18 months. £1,600 for a container of, I don't know if it mattered what was in it, but basically a container cost him £1,600 for a whole container to be shipped from China, which seems pretty good.
Reasonable, that doesn't it?
That same container today, £16,000. Wow. 10 times the cost. And most stuff comes from there.
Yeah.
But that just shows you.
You're going to have to put
that alone.
Yeah, you got to put the price of everything up to.
Well, exactly.
There's only so much companies can take, isn't there?
It has to be passed on to somebody.
It does, yeah.
I mean, we have this all the time in our work, do we? Can you not do this? Well, I can do. We're going to have to charge you more for it.
Well, yeah, that's it. I can't be doing this for free.
Yeah. So my tariff, I'm on the Octopus Go tariff. Obviously, you need an EV for that now. Cough, never check cough. But it was, and it has been for 3 years, I think, 5 pence off peak.
Which is very good.
So that's 4 hours.
Yeah.
And then, this one did fluctuate depending on what we're going on. But essentially, until May, my fixed tariff ends. And I'm on, I think it's 14.4p or something. Let's call it 15p.
Yeah.
So 5p for 4 hours, 15p for 20 for the rest of the time.
Yeah.
Peak off peak. In May, that goes to 7.5p for the off peak.
Wow.
And near as damn it, 30p for the peak. So the off peak has gone up 50%.
Yeah.
And the peak has gone up 100%.
That's just, that's crazy, isn't it?
And that's 100%. A very good tariff still by what's coming up.
Yeah.
That will be probably
Is
one
the
of the
electric
better.
Any better? At twice the price?
It's not even super electric.
Isn't it?
V electric.
Yeah, well, the lights won't be brighter.
No. But I mean, we've just done a quick have a look on. I've looked at EDF. You've looked at British Gas.
Yeah.
So this that I'm looking at is a 2-year fixed deal. So February 24, they call it.
Yeah.
So this for me is an estimation of a large energy company.
One of the big players.
Yeah. So over the next 2 years, they want to obviously make a bit of profit. So that it's a good guess.
It's a good
electricity. Forget standing charges and whatnot, because that's not pennies, let's face it.
Yeah.
It was 34 pence per kilowatt hour for the 2-year one.
Wow.
36 for the 1 year. And gas, it was 9.4 pence per kilowatt hour for gas. Bear in mind that mine for gas was 2.4 6 months ago. It's now 3.7, and they're saying it's near as damn it 10.
Well, if you're thinking there that most, say for instance, we'll round these up. So you've been paying 2.5.
So I'm paying 3.7 now for gas.
Right. So that's basically 3 times more.
So gas has gone up.
So your gas bill, if your gas bill is £600 a year, it's now £1,800 a year for your gas.
Yeah, or £60 a month would be.
£120. Oh, sorry, £180
a month.
If I can do maths.
But that's what I mean. All of a sudden, 60 quid a month for gas, 80 quid a month for gas. I can manage that.
Yeah.
60 quid a month for gas, 180.
Yeah.
That's almost a car payment, isn't it? And that's just gas. That's not electric.
Well, the thing is, this isn't. You got to look at the bigger picture, isn't it? It's everything's going up, but wages aren't going up this much, are they? Everyone is going to be £1,000 worse off this year because they're having extra energy bills.
Well, probably more.
And no one's getting £1,000 extra. Well, I'm certainly not getting £1,000 extra.
Well, I mean, from what I've read, it was like depends on what you're on, I guess, but how much you use, but the average is going to go up potentially £1,400.
Wow.
But even if you said, I mean, using that monthly thing, 60 quid on gas, 180. That's electric is probably going to a minimum double.
Yeah.
So I think, I'm trying to think of what I pay. It's difficult. What do you pay? Because I have an EV, so it's artificially high.
Well,
for me.
it's gone up a little bit, like everybody's has, since October. But I'll make it easy. It was 110 for my dual bill.
And bear in mind that there's only either 1 or 2 people living in your house.
Yeah, there's one that I know about.
One of them small.
Who's this other person? So call it £100. It's slightly more than £100 now, but to make it nice and easy. So my bill's going to go up to £200 possibly.
Well, if gas is, do you know what the breakup is in terms of gas and electric?
I could find out and we could come back later. I could have a look at my type.
Well, you do that when no one can hear you type.
Yeah.
But even if we said 50 quid each, if one's going to treble, one's going to double.
I think it's more 60. I think it's 40 electric and 60 gas. It's a bit more gas.
So logically, your gas would be 180 and your electric would be 80.
Yeah, so it's going to go up quite.
So that's, what did I say, 180? So that's £260 instead of 100.
Yeah. That is just, it's crazy, isn't it?
200. I bet your car loan is less.
My car loan is less. And the amount of petrol I put in my car is less than that.
And it's not exactly an economical car either.
No.
By today's standards.
If you look at fuel bills in general.
And petrol.
Yeah, and electric and gas. So if my bill goes up to around £250 and I'm putting around £200 of fuel into my car, my fuel bill for the month is £450.
So gas, electric and petrol.
£450.
Near as damn it 5, but probably 5 in I mean, that's averaged out. Should point out. That's not just winter, that's averaged out.
Yeah. My mortgage isn't much more than that.
It's nearly 500 quid. So all of a sudden, if you ask someone to pay 2 mortgages instead of 1, that's going to hurt average Joe. Dare I say with the working middle class if we go down that route.
Yeah.
That is noticeable to the point of, because most people live within their
you do, don't you?
wage
I think most
means
people,
plus 10%.
Yeah.
If you have, let's face it, if you have a bit of spare money after a few months, you're like, oh, I can buy something now.
I can buy something new for the car.
But that is gonna. It's almost like getting an unexpected bill. Like, oh God, I need a boiler this year.
Yeah, something going wrong. You're needing a new window or a new door or something like that. Do you know what? It's the cost of an alright-ish holiday.
Well, yeah, because what did we say? £100, £260, did we say?
Yeah.
So that's £160, £1,600. So it's nearly £2,000 a year extra.
It's a nice holiday.
£2,000.
Yeah,
that's a boiler. Well, it's not a boiler, but you get the point.
It's a boiler and fitting without your radiator.
It's like, I need a new big appliance, or I need. And that's from now on. I think that's what the big thing that a lot of people, again, that are sleepwalking into. This isn't a blip.
No. This is, and the thing is, people said, "Oh, well, they expect the price to come down, but they can't guarantee this." And from past history of things going up in price dramatically, nothing's ever dropped that much. People just get used to paying for it.
Look at petrol. Remember when it hit £1 in the strikes?
Riots. I mean, no, right. So the blockade, wasn't it?
That was when it hit £1.
£1, yeah.
We're at £1.50 pretty much now.
Yeah.
So, although I do believe it will stabilise and probably drop a little bit in maybe 2 years, 3 years time.
Yeah.
We are not going back below.
It's
for
not
me personally, 30p per kilowatt hour for electric.
I mean, the thing is, could the government have done more? I mean, it's like almost like the government of
It's a worldwide problem. It's not just us.
But I think we haven't invested, haven't we? There was going to be, is it Hinkley Point C or whatever?
Well, funnily enough, I've been doing research on that today. The price that they guaranteed to pay Hinkley Point C, which is what everyone went, that is obscene.
Yeah.
That is the equivalent of 30p per kilowatt hour.
Is it?
So all of a sudden, because they're the EDF and China, I think, are funding the build and they're funding the overspend, which is all right. And we are guaranteeing them 30p, I think it was, plus inflation. So basically, given where it's going over the next couple of years, it's actually a good deal for us.
Yeah.
So I mean, I know that you could have spent that money on other things, but ultimately, it's nowhere near as bad as it was because the price of electricity has gone up so much, and that was fixed.
I guess as well, does it bring an argument maybe for nationalising power? Gas and electric again. EDF seem to do all right out of it.
I don't know. Yeah.
Would you?
I don't know.
All eggs in one basket.
This government can't run a business meeting properly.
No, but
can
organise a piss up in there.
I think putting. I don't know. I don't think it will ever happen. To be honest.
No.
So, I mean, I don't mind people like Octopus who are. It's called Greg, the CEO. They've been doing lots of blogs, been on TV, and basically he's saying that they have to pay the price of wholesale. I think everyone pays the same. It's what they buy, not what we pay. And it's linked to gas. The electric is linked to gas, regardless of how much is actually generated from gas.
Because we all know that both of them come from wind turbines.
But ultimately, it says if we could, like Octopus Go, if they could price it by how much it's cost to generate on any given, half hour or day, it will be way more flexible, way fairer. But Ofgem and someone else who dictates wholesale prices, they're just not listening. It's like talking to somebody and going, "You're using an old PC. Have you heard something called the cloud?" And them going, "No.
I've got these pack of memory sticks I like to put everything on."
But it is literally like that. So effectively, we're using an old school system, and that's why Octopus Go tariffs losing them millions.
Yeah.
It's basically a long-term research project. Yeah. That's why they're limited it to EV drivers, I think. Because it's
a fantastic idea, isn't it?
Well, it is, yeah.
Surplus of electricity at night. Let's do something with it.
Whereas they're taking average over a long period and go, "You're paying this much." And it's a stupid way of doing it because it doesn't matter really what you buy it from, I guess. But either way, prices across Europe, as I understand it, and of course there's the old Russian thing and controlling gas stuff that's completely out of our control to a point.
It's going to be a bumpy journey, I think. For everybody, isn't it? Until our reliance on gas is less so, or until they start finding more of it.
Well, yeah, and
it's a bit like, for me, when I was younger, I remember talking to my great grandma and granddad, and they'd be in the 90s, and they were talking about gas lights. And as a kid, I was going, you had lights, gas, a lamp. Why you have a light bulb? And I guess maybe our children, when they're older, will go, you burnt gas to keep your house warm? That just seems so backwards.
Well, I think this is the whole thing about heat pumps, which obviously I've been heavily looking into at the moment, because heat pumps financially don't make sense for a lot of people. That's the problem. They do genuinely, properly sized, use less energy. So if you use 10,000 kilowatt hours on your gas boiler, you'll probably use 6.
Yeah.
So the net usage of that house has dropped by a third.
Yeah.
That's why the government are in love, as it were, with the heat pump so much. Because can you imagine if you knock everyone's heating demand down by a third in real terms? Yeah. But we know it's not.
Well, the thing is, it's so
get cowboys jumping on any grant.
It's so expensive to put in that it's not feasible for the majority of people, and a lot of homes aren't. I mean, you got to look in the UK in particular. We've got a lot of homes that are extremely old, where you can't have insulation. You know, if you have an old traditional brick terraced house, sandstone, you've got no cavity wall. The only way you can insulate that is on the inside.
Yeah, I mean, again, it might change because the more gas goes up, it gets to the point where electricity is about the same. So then heat pump will make sense. And now the people I've spoken to, the real heat geeks, as it were, they say they can make a heat pump work in anything, even a thatched cottage.
Yeah,
it will produce enough heat if it's sized properly. And apparently there's a lot of research going into and coming out, as it were, of high output heat pumps, as in high temperature ones.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
So they can match it, and it just needs to be properly sized. But like you say, electricity can be generated cleanly and cheaply.
Yeah.
But it's not. And I don't think it's a case of electricity is coming down. I think it's a case of gas is going to just join it.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people have said that we're actually now on par with Europe's prices. We've been artificially cheap for many years.
So we're just seeing the what everyone else is paying.
So
it is difficult, isn't it? I mean, I can understand there's a lot of people saying, we should bring back drilling for gas. We should bring back, coal power stations, because there's going to be a lot of people, who just can't afford to pay these prices. And so you go, well, fair enough, it might release more CO2, but I'm going to be cold this winter. My kids are going to be cold this winter.
Well, it's difficult, isn't it? Like I say, because that's a short-term fix to a long-term problem.
It's a very difficult thing.
Does the climate thing override people being cold?
I don't know. I think the thing with this is that there seems to be no fix for everybody, does there?
Well, that's the thing. There's no
silver bullet.
Yeah, or no panacea, as someone else uses. There's no like heat pumps. Yeah, they're part of the solution. They're not the solution. Yeah, like you say, no silver bullet. So a mixture, a myriad of different, like electric car charging. There isn't just what will people do who can't charge at home. They will use many different things, not just one.
Yeah. I guess as well, we're just at the start of this technology, aren't we? It's like, this is going to, in generations to come, move on, isn't it? And there's going to be far better ways of doing this.
And insulation, obviously, can be done. I mean,
well, it's new builds, isn't it? I think there needs to be more emphasis on new builds of having a super. I mean, the previous house to my house that I rented was without a pot of styrene, and it was concrete filled. And no word of a lie, you could heat that house just by being inside it.
Yeah.
It was bizarre.
Passive house,
Yeah. If you had more than 4 people in the house at winter, you had to open the windows. It was a strange thing. Why aren't we building more houses like that?
Because we're building them to make money.
Well, which is it, isn't it? Yeah.
So effectively what they're doing is they're letting the industry off, construction industry, and then the people who move into it have to retrofit everything to make it suit, as it were.
I guess that we're looking at maybe, I don't know enough about house building, but more legislative things where if they are building houses, they have to have this and this.
They did. Several years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, they said you have to do X, Y, and Z in terms of energy efficiency. The construction industry kicked off and said, we're not going to make any money, it's implausible. So the government did a U-turn and removed the restrictions.
Oh, well, fair enough. That seems a bit of a step backwards, doesn't it?
And there you go.
Yeah.
So I guess it's a case of, we can build this efficiency, but we're going to put the price up, and then no one will be able to afford houses.
Well, the thing is,
we don't do it.
You would think, wouldn't it, with a new build, if they put solar panels and a home battery in every house, that there would be some sort of efficiency and reduction in cost.
They don't care.
I guess
I've got
a
story about solar panels.
I can do what it is. It's a second-hand car salesman, isn't it?
Yeah.
You could give it a service. It needs forget that. Just, sell it on.
I'll pay to sell it without having to say
Yeah, don't need that.
I spoke to a company that installs solar panels, and they did a lot of new build.
Mm-hmm.
And he said the show house that they obviously they get that built first.
Yeah.
So he said we pulled up to the show house to I think it was a retrofit because someone else had given up or done a bad job or whatever.
Yeah.
And he looked and he went, "Where are the panels?" And he went, "Oh, they're on the other side." I went, "But that's the north side."
Yeah.
He went, "Yeah. People don't like to see solar panels, so we put them on the north
and
side."
satellite dishes as well. Yeah.
So all the solar panels for this particular new build were on the north side, which is not going to generate anything. And he said, "Well, why do we put it at the front?" "Oh, no, people don't like it, we'll be able to sell the house as much." "All right, well, what if we integrate it into the tiling system so it's flush?"
Yes, you will notice it.
So you'll see it, but it won't be ugly.
Yeah.
It won't be like sticking out. Anyway, price it up and let us know. So they went away, because obviously when you're building a house, it's a lot easier.
Yeah.
And he basically said it was £120 per house more expensive to have a south-facing integrated solar system. And the house builder...
The payback on that would be really quick.
Yep, the house builder went, "No.
Yeah, 120 quid.
I aren't doing that. No, that's going to cost me too much money. I'm not going to do it."
Wow.
Stick it on the north side.
That is
the problem. We've got idiots that are just concentrating on one thing, overriding common sense.
Well, the thing is then, you're going to put it on the north side and then...
Generate nothing.
Well, no, then you're going to have to pay somebody to go up and move it.
Yep. And I don't think anybody these days doesn't like solar panels on the roof. I think like wind turbines were seen as ugly. I think it's just become normal.
Well, for me, if I drive past a house with an array on it, I don't go, "That's ugly." I try and count how many they've got. It becomes a game.
It's acceptable, isn't it?
Well, yeah.
And again, it's so short-sighted. It does my head in.
Well, it is, isn't it? It's a waste of a production of a solar panel for starters, isn't it? The energy that's gone into making that, and it's not returning anything.
120 quid.
Yeah.
On what? It's probably £250,000 house or something like that.
Well, I thought,
possibly
you try and buy a new house at quarter to do this.
Possibly, and that's up here.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, what?
Yeah.
Surely you'd be able to advertise it as your bills will be much less.
Yeah.
Etc. Etc. But going back to the bills at housing, is there any solution? Because let's face it, the stuff I have, the solar panels, the home battery, if someone's struggling to pay the bills, there's no way on earth they're going to get there.
Well, no, there isn't. I think for the majority of people, is they're going to be stuck in this rut of soaring energy costs, not being able to either insulate the house properly because they can't afford to put in a home battery or solar panels, which they would love to do. They're just not going to be able to do that. There was quite an interesting radio program I listened to the other week, and they were talking about the green tax and CO2 tax being a tax against the poor. And this professor was saying, if you're poor and you haven't got a car that's particularly, efficient or puts out a lot of CO2, it's not that the guy's driving that or the woman's driving that because they want to. If you offered them a Tesla for free, they'd snap your hand off. They'd go, I'd love to have a Tesla. I'd love to, have a zero emissions car. The fact is it's being able to achieve that. It's not that, and it's the thing of, if we're going to get into a point where we're penalising people for having a house that isn't efficient, it's not because they can't afford to make it efficient.
So the solution to this logically wouldn't be to pay people's energy bills, because that's a short-term solution. It's to pay
insulate the house. Or
give them insulation. Oh God. Pay them to insulate the house. Pay them, solar panel grants, home battery grants. Take your pick, because then energy use would drop.
It would.
They would save money permanently. It's the old thing, isn't it? Teach them how to fish and all that.
Yeah. Give them a fishing rod, they'll sell fishing rod and buy fish.
I mean, I've been keeping an eye on prices. So the battery I have at the moment is currently priced from this particular company anyway, 5,795.
Yeah.
3 weeks ago, that was 4,800.
Wow. Is that due to demand or due to just the
transport costs? Lithium costs have gone up 300% recently.
So we need to find a lithium mine.
It's on a Cornwall somewhere, I think. But that's effectively a 25% increase.
I guess the problem we're going to find here as well, as you've highlighted there, is that the more people look to do this and go, well, actually, now's a good time to do this, the demand will increase, therefore the price will skyrocket because there'll be less around.
Well, as you understand it, there's a tipping point where they go, we need to meet demand. Let's make a big factory.
Does it become like,
and then it gets cheaper,
like TFT monitors back in the day when they were £1,000 each, and now they're 50 quid
it
a piece?
I think they will get ultimately cheaper once it properly ramps up. But when people say it's going to get cheaper, it will do. But we're 5-10 years off this. This isn't going to be in like in a year or two.
And there's no plaster we can stick on this at the moment, is there?
No. So paying people's bills is a 1 year thing for me.
Well,
giving them the means to use less is clearly the
paying somebody's bills doesn't fix the problem that the year after there's going to be probably a worse situation because the prices have gone up again.
Mm-hmm.
I guess, I mean, the thing is, you look at Insulate Britain, and although everyone got tired of them sellotape or gluing the faces to motorways, they've got a point.
Well, I don't think it was the message that people had a problem with. It's the way that they were delivering.
Yeah.
That, I'll inconvenience the people who aren't making the decisions to put my point across, and then everyone's going to want to punch me. It's the wrong way of doing things, isn't it?
It's the vegan who storms the steakhouse.
Yeah, if they showed you a vegan meal and said, would you like to see the health benefits of being vegan?
Would you like to try this? It's
I will
lovely
listen
and tasty.
to that.
Oh, go on then.
But if someone comes in halfway through a meal, I'm going to tell them to go away.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I don't see a way. I mean, there's a few things, I guess, that people could do to mitigate it a little bit, isn't it? Using less, just by having a bit of common sense, shutting windows.
Yeah.
If insulate if you can, but if you can't, just being on the right tariff.
That's a massive thing, isn't
it? I mean,
really?
people, I speak to so many people. I've been with British Gas for 20
They've
years.
always treated me really good. I'm sure they have,
Yeah. And that boggles my mind that people, I mean, you look at some of them and you go, there's £1,000 a year saving just by being on the right tariff. Why are you not putting... Oh, I don't understand what he's saying. It's boring, it's complicated.
Do you remember my neighbour who bought a Leaf?
Oh, yeah.
And then they traded the car in and they've got I don't know, it's a Hyundai
hybrid or something.
It's not a hybrid even, no, it's just a diesel.
All right.
And I said to him, he daily commuted. He did a reasonable amount of miles.
But within the range of the Leaf?
Yeah. So every day, he charged at home every day, yeah. I think he was doing between 20 and 50 miles.
So perfect use.
Yeah. And I said to him, so how come you changed after 2 years and got a diesel? He says, well, it wasn't saving me any money. I says, if anything, it cost me a little bit more. I says, well, what, did you change your tariff? Oh, no, it didn't change my tariff. I says, well, you could have been paying a lot less to charge your car. Oh, I didn't know about that. It's like...
Well, on that recent video I've done, I think it was £9,000 at 30 pence, which is what we're looking at now. Or even on the new Octopus 7.5p Go tariff.
Yeah.
I think it was about 2.9. So over 100,000 miles worth of EV driving, there's a £7,000 difference by just being on the right tariff.
Yeah, it is. It's almost. It's like saying to somebody, right? Well, you've got a couple of garages you can get your petrol from.
Yeah.
And one of them's going to cost you a fifth of what the other ones cost you.
Yeah. Oh no, I've always gone to Brian.
Yeah.
He's always filled up properly.
I've always got it from Shell. Yeah. But it's the same thing from somebody else, and it's going to cost you a fifth of the price.
And I think that's the trouble, isn't it? A lot of people go, how are poor people going to manage? And you think, well, honestly, don't know.
No.
But then you get the people that, let's face it, typically have enough money to survive, but complain about not having enough money because they're bad with money.
Yeah.
I mean, some people, there's a lot of people out there that have got no money and are very unlucky.
Yeah.
We've both been there ourselves many times. But there's also, I reckon, more people out there that are just crap with their money.
What have you bought?
Yeah.
Well, there's a couple of people, I mean, we'll say no names, but people we've worked with in the past.
Yes.
It's like, people would be going, oh, I can't afford to fill my car up, and it'd be like 4 or 5 days after payday. Like, these are young people that live at home.
Yeah, because they spent it all on an Xbox.
Yeah. What have you done with your money? Oh, I spent it and bought this, and this. And like, but you've got 4 weeks worth of...
or buying an expensive, powerful car.
Yeah.
And then not being able to afford it.
To run it,
and then trading it in for a £5,000 loss. Oh, in fact, no, you still owe £5,000 a car you no longer own.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wait a minute. You couldn't afford the car, so you've sent it back early.
Yeah.
And now you owe £5,000 on nothing.
Yeah. That is just, I mean, can you imagine having to pay £5,000 for something that you
no longer have? Ironically, if it had kept it, it'd have skyrocketed in
value
as well. But ultimately, that's the point, isn't it? If someone's, if someone says, well, it's all right, you with your I don't know, home battery or solar or whatever people have got, well, hang on a minute here. I've not been on holiday for 10 years abroad.
Yeah.
That was a sacrifice we were willing to make. Maybe we've got 2 jobs, take your pick. But ultimately, we give up something to do that. Barely drink, don't smoke,
yeah.
all that sort of stuff. For me, if anyone who is a normal smoker anyway, that's very expensive, isn't it?
I mean, it's almost like a
home battery
luxury thing, isn't it? You've got to be smoking.
Yeah.
I see people smoking and I'm like, how do you afford to do that?
Yeah. So for me, if you do something that is a luxury, if you go and spend £2,000-4,000 on a holiday, that's how you can afford a home battery or solar array. You might not going on holiday or not smoking.
You might not be going on holiday next year when you've paid for your Christmas worth of heating. I think this year's going to be okay, isn't it? I think people aren't going to notice it this year. I think it's going to be definitely this time next year.
Winter.
Yeah, this time next year.
So it's going to be December, January, February of next year's bills when people are going, whoa, hang on a second.
What's going on here?
Because, that quote I had there for gas, did we mention gas? I don't think we did.
Yeah.
Gas was just shy of 10 pence.
Yeah, we did. We mentioned it. Yes,
yeah, we did. Yeah. And so, like I say, a tripling of that. I mean, effectively, if you're listening to this now, guys, what did you pay in December? Or January? We've just finished January. What did you pay in December and January? Treble your gas, double your electric.
Yeah,
and that's likely what you're going to be paying in a year's time. Yeah. And I bet a lot of people are going, oh crap, it was 150 quid.
Yeah,
both.
Yeah.
And now it's going to be 300. I mean,
where's it going to stop?
Well, it's not just that, is it? I mean,
we've all got energy. I mean, the thing is, you look at your house now compared to 10 years ago, and we've all got LED bulbs.
We're using less, yeah.
Yeah, we're using less, but it's costing more.
We're using a lot less than from like 20 years ago, as far as I understand it. I think all you got to do is spend a bit of time on your tariff. That's the big one, innit? Your tariff.
Really have a look. Yeah.
Look for grants. There are grants out there.
When you do your tariff as well, please look at what you've used. I know a lot of people just go, oh yeah, well, it's cheaper from so-and-so and so-and-so. They're not taking into account, they've guesstimated what you've used. You need to put in exactly what you use.
Don't look at what they're going to charge you.
Look at the unit rates.
Yes.
What are the standing charge
pence
rates.
Per kilowatt hour. Yeah. That's all that matters, and your standing charge, I guess, to a lesser extent. Yeah. Don't go, well, they're going to charge me £50 a month. Oh, they've just dropped it to 45. Yeah. No, they haven't. They're taking less off you.
Presumably you're using less. Yeah, you just owe them money.
It amazes me how many comments, and mainly in person I've spoken to, go, oh, well, I pay, let's say £80 a month, year round, but it's gone up to 90, so I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
It's like, but you're going to owe a ton in a year's time because you're not paying 90.
We look at your balance each month. It'll just keep going down and down and down and down. Yeah. And before you know it, you'll be in arrears.
All you have to do is look at, and it tells you all this on the bills, how much have you used in a month or a year, whichever you've got. A year be better.
Well, a lot of them now, the webs, you have an online portal for your company, and you just log into there, and you can export it all from there. It's not a difficult thing to do.
Or just ask somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, I use this example with the people, like shopping for cars. A couple of phone calls can save you like £1,000, £2,000, depending on what you're buying, just by ringing other dealers up. And if someone said, oh, well, I can't be bothered looking at my tariff, it's just boring, I don't understand any of this. I said, here's £500, go and find me the cheapest tariff, you'd snap my hand off, wouldn't you?
Well, it's the same for...
But don't do it for the road.
No. It's the same with car insurance, isn't it?
Yeah.
I had my car insurance bill through the post, it was £400 and some. I rung up after 20 minutes on hold, which was, obviously a boring time waiting for somebody to speak to. I got down to 250, I think it was. So I made £150 for 20 minutes.
Well, let's call it half an hour. So that's £300
an hour. I've only once made that before, and I can't actually talk about that because I had to sign a disclosure rather.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, isn't it? If people look at it and go, right, you're going to spend half a day looking at your energy tariff once a year.
Yeah.
And you could save yourself anywhere from a few hundred quid to £1,000.
Well, I think now as well, especially with with being such a large amount, you're going to be saving more money, aren't you, potentially? Yeah.
So, on that note, does solar, for those that can afford it, of course, all of a sudden make a huge amount of sense? Because whereas before you were saving, let's say, 15 pence per kilowatt hour, and now you're saving 30 pence per kilowatt hour. So effectively, the payback period, if you will, has halved.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I mean, I was just writing it down up there on the whiteboard behind you. Over the 2021, my relatively bad solar array, because I've got 4 panels on the east side, 10 on the west, so it's an east-west array. I generated 3 megawatt hours in 2021. Now, it don't work like this, but if that was at 30p times 3,000, that's £900, which it would have saved me. Obviously, I haven't used all that.
Yeah.
Some of it was exported at 3-4 pence.
Yeah.
So it's not that at all. But I reckon it's probably at least, even if you forgot the battery, which obviously helps
a lot.
me.
Yeah.
For a solar array, I reckon you're looking at £400 or £500 a year.
So that's not
saving.
bad, is it?
And in fact, let me have a quick shufty. How much solar arrays are going? Because they're pretty much plateaued in price. Cheapest one, $5,500 for a 4 kilowatt system fully installed.
Well, that's not bad, is it?
So if you're saving, if you could get that, it's 550 quid a year. It's
10-year payback. Yeah.
With the battery, ironically, it'd probably be less.
Yeah.
So they're doing a 4.7 kilowatt array with an 8 kilowatt battery.
10 grand.
9.8. Yeah, fully installed. And I reckon you'd save more than £1,000 a year on that one, depending on how much you use. The more you use, the more you save.
Yeah.
But solar panels dropped off after fit payments. Well, that doesn't really make sense anymore. I'm only paying 13 pence per kilowatt hour. What am I saving? That's gonna be a big thing now. I think
the thing to me as well, it does make sense with a battery. If you're putting your solar into your battery and then using the power out of that.
Well, do you know how much I'm getting paid for export now? That's gone up.
Go on.
Which is good. So 7.5p at night.
You got that smug look on your face.
No. 7.5 pence at night to import, and then obviously 30 pence for the day rate import. But if I export anything, I've got too much solar and the battery's full. I'll get paid 4.1 pence.
4.1 pence.
So I'm selling at 4.1.
Can you sell that to me?
Well, 4.1 pence export, but I'm paying 30 during the day.
Wow.
So clearly the key is to use as much as possible. Hence why solar divert and batteries
make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the thing is with this is, it gets to a point, doesn't it, where if everybody had this sort of thing, the grid would be a lot easier to balance. Our reliance on any sort of fossil or nuclear power would be vastly reduced.
I reckon, I have high usage. According to Octopus, I used 8,312 kilowatt hours last year. But according to the actual consumption, it was 9.8.
Wow.
Although
does that include...
there's data missing there. Because obviously, Octopus only know what I've taken from the grid. Obviously, and I've got very high usage with the electric car doing lots of miles. So that would have been well over 10,000 without the solar panels. So effectively, I've knocked 20-25% of my usage.
Just with the solar panels and
Just with the solar panels and storage, I guess. Yeah. So, like the heat pump, you're using less. I think that's where the grant should be.
Well, maybe not even grants. Maybe there needs to be some
loans.
Well, I was just about to mention that. Maybe there needs to be a government scheme whereby they'll give you even if it's a 10-year payback, and it belongs to the house. So if you own your house, it's sort of included side by side with your mortgage.
Well, yeah, and
so when you buy a house, you go, right, so your mortgage is going to be this much, and also they have this array and a battery, and that's going to cost you so much.
Well, I don't know. I think you need to make sure it's easy to sell, because all them scams that, when they put solar on roofs, where they rented the roof.
You make it as easy as possible. Yeah. So it belongs to the house more than it belongs to the person.
A 0% loan. If you could get a 0% loan for $5,500,
I'd buy that, sell it, and then buy a Golf R32. If you can get one of them for about that price, in a couple of years, it'll be worth a lot.
But I always say, in Scotland, they have 0% finance up to $50,000, I think it is, for electric vehicles.
That's a brilliant idea. And you see so many of them.
They're not doing that for solar panels and batteries.
Well, because the Tories haven't got any friends that are making...
Well, even if whoever's in charge...
It needs to be... I think there needs to be some sort of... some help for people to do this.
That makes financial sense, doesn't it?
If it was, the battery, if it was an affordable thing to do, and you could look what's going to offset your electric bills by so much per month. I'd have to work out the payback.
Maybe we need to figure out how much a loan is.
£100 a month, I think, would be a reasonable thing for that.
Yeah. So. Well, all right then. Let's assume a £10,000 for a solar array and battery system, and that's a decent size. So let me go to a loan calculator. So we're just very basically looking to see what people do. So should we say the full 10? So there's no deposit.
Let's go the full 10. Yeah.
All right then. Full 10, right? So it doesn't matter what we want it for. £10,000 over 10 years is
maximum
£178 a month. 2.8% finance. Oh no, that's a 5-year loan. That's the longest they will do.
Okay, so can we change what it's for? Maybe that'll change.
There we go, home improvements. Oh, there we go.
Oh, there we go.
Right, over 10 years, it's £110 a month.
5.9% APR.
So logically, you'd be neutral. You wouldn't save anything. It wouldn't cost you anything.
The thing with that, if you look at it, so we're going to borrow 10 grand, and the repayment on that is for 13,170.
Yeah.
So if that was a 0%, you'd be looking at even less than that, wouldn't you? I mean, if you
let's make the amount repayable 10 grand. All right, what we'll do over
I'll tell you what then, £10,000 divided by 120 months.
Well, yeah, that's a good point. Excuse us for listening to the podcast. We're just doing some calculations in our heads right now. No one can hear me typing on the keyboard. £83.33 per month.
That'd be.
So you'd save, basically, it would pay for itself, and after 10 years...
Yeah. I mean, you might need to get new batteries or whatever after 10 years.
10-year unlimited throughput warranty on the batteries, at least with the Give Energy ones I've got then, so 15 to 20 minimum lifespan.
Wow.
But either way, that for me would transform things. I mean, would you... with a 0% government-backed loan, like a student loan almost. So they only take it from your wage even. So
then you save... can you imagine that? If you took it from your wage, you'd save on your national insurance and tax, because it'd be pre-national insurance and tax.
They do it for
They do right-to-work schemes.
Yeah.
That comes out pre...
You lose your job, you don't pay as much.
Yeah.
But it saves you on your energy bill.
I think that would be...
I mean, everything will get abused, but you get a point.
Well,
however it's done,
yeah,
that seems to be an obvious solution.
Why aren't we in power?
I don't know.
It's bizarre.
That's a very good point. I mean, we say this a lot, don't we, at work? Why aren't we running these things?
We've sorted this out already.
Well, it won't cost the government anything in the long run, apart from a bit of admin, because it's a loan.
Yeah.
It's not even a grand.
And also at the moment, there's no point keeping hold of the money, because it's not making a lot of money in interest, is it?
No. I guess that was...
And this would help everybody out.
And it would be a long-term solution to the energy problems, not all payers' bills temporarily.
Yeah.
Well, so effectively, are you suggesting that we go into politics?
I think we should do. Yeah.
Should I stand at the next election?
Yeah.
The EVM party.
Yeah, I think it's it seems to be a very, maybe we've overlooked something here. It seems to be a very simple solution to a problem.
No, I
know that everyone can be able to have these.
Well, it works in Scotland for the cars.
Well, yeah, why not?
So it exists already. Does this scheme just for something else? Why? And that's up to 50 grand.
Is it because no one can make a lot of money for it if it's like this? I mean, is obviously bigger things at work here.
I imagine if you owned a factory that made batteries or solar panels, you'd be going, yes, please.
Yeah, let's do this.
Because you'd sell a ton of them.
Yeah.
And you could even manufacture in this country as well.
Well, yeah, it'd be something. If you could get that for £83.33 a month, I'd be signing up.
Full battery array and solar.
Yeah, I'd be signing up straight away.
Right. So is it worth then, maybe for a future video, looking at whether just a standard loan is worth
working
getting
out the payback on it?
So how much do you have to get? Yeah, what's the payback period? Because, I mean, if you could borrow £100 a month for 5 years, by that point you were neutral.
Yeah.
So basically after 5 years it's yours.
Yeah.
Would you consider doing that now? So effectively you haven't got the money, but you can get the loan to pay for the solar or the solar and the battery.
Yeah. Well, it seems to be a reasonable...
There has to be a break even. Yeah, I guess you need to know how much you're going to save a month to know how much you can afford to pay on your loan.
Yeah.
And then to be able to get a loan,
I guess the thing is that you get smart with it then, don't you, though? Because if I had a battery, technically, I know I wouldn't be allowed to do this on the Octopus tariff, but I could charge that at night for less money.
Oh, yeah, that's what I do. Because, and I mean...
So if I wasn't getting the full, in winter, for instance...
All of it comes from 7.5p for me. Well, not all of it, but if I had a big enough battery, 7.5p I'd be paying instead of 30.
Yeah.
So the battery saves you a ton. The solar panels generate and save you a lot. So I think this is the thing, innit? That's a video in that.
I think there is, I think we'll have to...
So, as we're coming to the end of Series 2, Episode 1, what else? Is there anything else we're missing in terms of home energy? People now, hopefully... Yeah, but people are aware there's a lot of crap on route.
Yeah.
Your bills are skyrocketing. If you use my Twitter handle, so it's at EVManUK, because obviously you can't, like a YouTube channel, you can't respond in the comments. So tweet me and just say, look, I've listened to your podcast. I didn't know this were coming, or I did know this were coming. But that's the way of communication through the podcast, because most people I've spoken to are oblivious to this. They've heard about the energy price cap coming up, but no one seems to know really what it meant.
Yeah.
So,
well, I've just logged onto my portal for Octopus.
Okay.
And I am using roughly around 8 to 8.5 kilowatts of electricity a day.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how big was the battery?
8.2, and that's usable.
There you go. My entire day worth of electric
from 7.5p
could come from the battery. I mean, that's not bad, is it?
And you know what? Even though there is a rule where you have to own an EV.
Yeah. I do own an EV.
Well, you do. You obviously, you've seen driving around in them.
Yeah.
Just about like $4,000 to visit.
Yeah.
And then sell it again for $1,000 more later.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, that's I mean, it's less relevant now because they've changed the rules. But that video, which has gone ballistic again for some reason, where I said that a battery alone without solar panels can make a lot of financial sense. Because all the electric's coming at the cheap rate. Well, not all of it.
Most of it, yeah.
It's coming at the cheap rate instead of the expensive rate. That alone, in theory, will mean that your average pence per kilowatt hour will be probably less than 10 as opposed to 30.
Yeah. So, again, the saving on
it's
that.
a third of your cost. So I think we need to do some man maths on this one.
Well, technically then, I know gas is cheaper, but if electricity is going to double, if you were to get the battery, you'd be paying less for your electric if you're on the right tariff. Mm-hmm. If you're using it all from the battery than you were prior to the price to when it doubled.
Yeah. That's effectively how I've been operating all this time. So, cheap electric for
I did wonder where
fuel.
You got all that gold from.
Oh, my teeth. But yeah, you get cheaper fuel with your car and you get cheaper fuel with your house.
I think if you explained this to people and then there was some sort of grant or a loan scheme towards it, like we just talked about, people would be going, yeah, I'll do that.
Well, I think there's a lot of people out there, let's face it, that dump $5,000 on a holiday.
Yeah.
Or at least would spend $5,000 over the next 2 or 3 years on a holiday.
Yeah.
That's your battery straight up. Yeah. Or, it's your solar array, whichever. Yeah. For me, it makes sense to do it both at the same time. But
for me, I can't see you doing one without the other. It doesn't seem to make sense. You want to be able to generate the electricity and put it in something.
Yeah, exactly. But either way, I think there are things people could easily give up. I mean, 2-week holiday, 20 years worth of battery. I know what I will go for because I have. Yeah. But ultimately, it's not like we haven't gone on holiday. We've just been going on holiday in this country. That's all. And the pandemic has just meant it's been no different for us. Not wrong with a tent.
No. Well, the thing is,
I like camping.
Yeah.
Wild camping. Yeah.
And go to Scotland.
But we are again this year. But I think, watch this space, guys. I think that needs a video. That needs man maps in.
Yeah.
How much do you have to? Will you save now at the current price, and then you know how much you can? Yeah, I guess it's like the EV argument. If you're going to save £150 a month on fuel, you can put that towards a PC payment for an EV or a lease payment or whatever. So there has to be an argument for that. Okay. Right. Well, I think that's it. I think Series 2. Have we elevated Series 1?
Well, I think we have, haven't we?
I think it's like the next generation.
Yeah. No rude jokes.
Oh, that's a good point. But there is one thing. I'm going to put you on the spot here.
Okay.
Remember, we've done it for every podcast. The podcast fans will know this.
Yeah. The
last word is always uttered by Harry, and it could be absolutely anything.
2 words.
Ooh, go on then. So this is the last 2 words. Thanks for listening, guys. All that sort of stuff. We'll see you next week. And the last 2 words are
6 fingers.